Ngozi's hands were rough from endless scrubbing, her back often bent from long hours of work, yet her eyes still carried a quiet fire. Life had beaten her down, but it had not broken her spirit. She was only 19 when she was forced to abandon her dreams of school to care for her widowed mother and younger siblings. Her father had died suddenly, leaving nothing behind but debts. Her mother tried to sell vegetables in the village market, but it was never enough. Ngozi often went to bed hungry just to let her little brother and sister eat. The more she saw her mother break down in tears at night, the more determined she became to change their story, so she left home, promising her mother that she would return one day with enough money to take care of them. The only job she could find in the city was as a maid in the home of a wealthy family. From the very first day, life in the Okafor's mansion was tough. Madame Okafor, a woman known for her sharp tongue, never treated her like a human being. She shouted at her for waking up too late even if it was 4 a.m., insulted her if the food wasn't salty enough, and sometimes compared her to a goat, useless girl. Madame would bark. "If not that I pity your poor mother, I would have sent you back to the village." Ngozi endured it all. She never talked back, never raised her voice. Deep inside, she promised herself that she would never allow their insults to define her. The children mocked her too. They laughed at her old clothes, her slippers with broken straps, and the way she spoke. Sometimes they threw food on the floor and ordered her to pick it up like a dog. She would bend, pick the pieces, and say softly, "One day, things will be different." At night, when everyone was asleep, Ngozi would light a tiny candle in her small servants' quarters. She would bring out old newspapers, torn textbooks, or magazines that the family had thrown away. That was her treasure. She read everything she could find. She underlined words she didn't understand and asked the gateman to explain. When she cleaned Chief Okafor's study, she secretly read business articles. She wrote her thoughts in a small notebook she bought from a roadside seller. The more she read, the more her mind expanded. She dreamed of a life beyond scrubbing floors and washing plates. One afternoon, Chief Okafor was struggling to read an email on his phone. He kept pressing the wrong buttons. Ngozi, who was dusting the table, stood silently for a while before she said, "Sir, may I help you?" At first, he frowned. "What do you know about phones?" But when she explained calmly and fixed the problem, he was surprised. Out of curiosity, he asked her, "Do you read?" "Yes, sir," she answered shyly. "From where?" "Anything I can find. Newspapers, books, even the ones you throw away." He was amused but impressed. The next day, he left a newspaper on the table intentionally. Ngozi read it, and when he asked her about a business article, she explained it so clearly that he sat back, stunned. From that day, Chief began to test her with little questions. Each time, she amazed him. One evening, while Madam was away, Chief asked Ngozi to sit down. He showed her a business proposal he was reviewing and asked for her opinion. At first, she hesitated. How could a maid speak about such things? But then she shared her thoughts, suggesting a more direct supply chain between farmers and retailers. Chief was silent for a while, then nodded slowly. "You are smarter than many of my so-called managers." He gave her a small sum of money and told her to try her idea. Ngozi started small, buying tomatoes directly from farmers and selling them to women in the city market. She woke up at 3 a.m., did her chores quickly, then rushed to the market before the Okafors noticed. It wasn't easy, but she was determined. Within weeks, she made profit. She reinvested every kobo, never touching the money for herself. When Madam discovered her side hustle, she laughed cruelly. "So, you think selling tomatoes will make you rich? A maid will always remain a maid." Her words cut deep, but Ngozi didn't stop. Instead, she worked harder. She began expanding to other food items: rice, beans, palm oil. Her discipline and honesty attracted more farmers who trusted her. After a few years, Ngozi's small hustle grew into a thriving business. She saved enough to rent a small warehouse, then hired workers to deliver goods. Slowly, she built her own company, a food distribution chain that supplied supermarkets across the city. At just 28, Ngozi was no longer a maid. She was the CEO of a growing enterprise. She bought land, built houses, and even purchased trucks for her business, but the biggest joy for her was returning home to the village. She built a bungalow for her widowed mother, sent her siblings to university, and lifted her family out of poverty. One bright afternoon, Madam Okafor walked into a big corporate office to meet the new supplier who had just secured the biggest distribution contract in the state. She entered confidently, but when she saw the young woman seated behind the mahogany desk, her legs trembled. It was Ngozi, dressed elegantly in a navy blue suit, with staff moving respectfully around her. She looked nothing like the girl who once scrubbed floors, Ngozi. Madam stammered. Ngozi smiled gently. "Good afternoon, Ma. Please, have a seat." Madam's eyes filled with shame. She bowed her head and whispered, "I never knew you would become this great." Ngozi leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. "That is why you should never look down on anyone. Life changes." Ngozi never let bitterness rule her heart. She signed the contract, not to mock Madam, but to show grace. She even offered scholarships through her foundation for poor girls who wanted education but couldn't afford it. Her story spread far and wide, inspiring thousands. From a maid with nothing to a millionaire with influence, Ngozi became a living testimony that hard work, humility, and persistence could turn even the lowest position into greatness.